Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's James here at ProPix TV in the studios of Vancouver, British Columbia, bringing to you a live chat with James, earlier edition than normal. Essentially, we normally do this around 11:30 Pacific Standard Time. However, we're doing it a bit early tonight as we hope to reach a wider audience and bring it to you as it's relevant. Now, tonight we'll be exploring various topics from around British Columbia, Canada, and of course the world. As we start out tonight, we'll take a look at local news here in Metro Vancouver, and it appears that a West Vancouver ambulance station has been shuttered. This is in light of concerns over safety that has led to the closure of the ambulance station, leaving the community without a local base. Plan for towers near Commercial Broadway Station is heading to a public hearing. A proposal for 3 new towers near a major transit hub is moving forward for public consultation. As we know, this is part of the density plan that the city and the regional municipalities have for the transit corridors. In terms of looking at other areas in the downtown east side, Premier Eby has revealed a downtown east side advisor contract. And more information is coming out in regards to the contract for the advisor working on issues in the downtown east side, including homelessness, addiction issues, the opioid pandemic or epidemic, and of course the overdose crisis. So we'll keep tuned on that as more plans are released from the province and from the advisor. Vancouver, in other news, is going to host the FIFA Congress ahead of the 2026 World Cup. The city will host the FIFA Congress, traditionally held in the World Cup host country the year of the tournament. Now, in First Nations updates, they are demanding the BC government halt bills that will fast-track certain projects. The Indigenous leaders are urging the Premier to withdraw legislation intended to accelerate project approvals. In terms of local crime, you've got a lady who was caught on video stealing a teenager's backpack from a Port Moody school. It is just a reminder again to keep track of your personal items when you're out in public, even if you are at school. Apparently, this person did steal the backpack, and police have shared the video to try and identify the individual that was captured. In local news right here in Surrey, a local man who has won $80 million is quite excited and was really shocked as he just ran into the store to grab some buns and decided to grab a lottery ticket while he was there just on the whim. And sure enough, he has won the largest single jackpot in Canadian lottery history at $80 million. Congratulations to him. He is a husband, a father, and a logistics worker who has since, of course, given his notice that he is done working, at least for now. Students and parents also in Surrey are protesting a grade 7 band program elimination by the city, and this is a result of budget cuts that are leading to potential cancellation of the elementary school band program. This is not a surprise, as we've seen other cutbacks within the city of Surrey and the Surrey School District recently that have gotten parents quite concerned about the direction in which this city is heading when it comes to not only band programs and classes, but also when it comes to special needs and special education programs and assistance as well. So again, the city of Surrey and the Surrey School Board moving forward with more cutbacks. Now, distraction theft impacts a BC grandmother, and this is a growing concern within the province of BC and especially the Lower Mainland, where a family is sharing a story after their grandmother was targeted and had an irreplaceable piece of jewelry stolen. Anybody with information can reach out to your local police department or contact the RCMP via online portals. Through the Crime Stoppers portals. Now, as far as the local area, we're going to jump over to Vancouver Island, where the jury recommends education following the UVic student's overdose death. So an inquest into the death of the student has led to recommendations for improved emergency response and education. Of course, we all know that there is a major problem with drug overdoses here in Canada and around the globe, but again, they are calling for further information and awareness programs to be implemented. Recently, a stolen semi-truck pursued by the RCMP through the lower mainland of Fraser Valley ended up in the Fraser River. The truck, believed to be stolen, rammed police vehicles and led police on a chase. I would say high speed, but I'm not sure how much speed they would have gotten in that truck as it was hitting police cars and other vehicles. The vehicle did end up, as I said, in the Fraser River, but it appears the driver still was captured and taken into custody. Now, in national news, we'll turn our heads to Canada Post once again, looking at a strike. They are deemed essentially insolvent, and a report suggests that they are looking at eliminating daily door-to-door delivery as a potential solution amidst a possible strike. The World Junior Sex Assault trial is proceeding with only a judge instead of a judge and jury. The trial related to alleged assaults involving former World Junior hockey players will continue with a judge alone. Other updates were available today, and if you're interested in that story, you can always check out the cbc.ca for current updates. Canadian real estate market is entering a transition period as the Canadian Real Estate Association indicates a shift in the housing market. In Regina, a hopeful new Denver flight will boost business. At least that is the hopes for the local community as they see the first direct flight from Denver, Colorado, has officials optimistic about the economic benefits. This, of course, is a big question mark given the current state of tariffs and the travel bans by Canadians that are boycotting U.S.-bound travel. They are hoping, though, that inbound travel will increase as a result of this direct flight. An Ontario murder has sent shockwaves through BC's South Asian community, and that is a murder in Ontario that has deeply affected the South Asian community in British Columbia. We'll go into more detail after the headlines on that story. A rare Bride's whale is found dead on Vancouver Island. A whale species that's not typically seen in the region has washed ashore. Of course, that will lead to investigations and other research by the community to find out where that whale had come from, why it was in a region that they're not usually found in, and of course, what led to it being washed ashore. And we'll bring you information as we find out more about that situation. Northeast Calgary residents are facing a significant hail insurance increase, and that is because severe weather has led to substantial hikes in the insurance premiums, resulting from, of course, many hailstorms and increased harsh weather activity created by climate change. Now, of course, the claims rates have gone up, and as a result, so will the premiums. Now, in a funnier part, in Ontario on Highway 400, there were significant delays, and it wasn't due to a vehicle accident, but instead a whole lot of cows running loose on the highway. So again, that would have been a very funny sight to see. Now, in something less funny and very serious, the search continues in Nova Scotia, and they are searching for the two young children who have been missing for 2 weeks now with no signs or indications of abduction or of them wandering off into the bush. There are a lot of questions that the RCMP are just not willing to answer at this time. Of course, we know that little Lily Sullivan, who is 6 years old, and her younger brother Jack Sullivan, who is 4 years old, allegedly wandered off from the family home in a trailer in the small Nova Scotia town. Now, at this point, of course, over the last 2 weeks, there's been hundreds of searchers out. There have been drones, helicopters, police dogs, and so much more, and yet there have been no clues found as to whereabouts of these two young children. At this time, the case is far from being resolved, but at the same time, police are dedicated to ensuring that they find the truth as to what's happened to these two youngsters. Ontario is boosting its autism budget. Yes, the advocates are questioning, though, about the allocation. While funding for autism programs have increased, some are raising the concerns about how that money is going to be spent. So we will keep an eye out and see what programs are actually impacted and how this is going to benefit the autistic community. Now, Amazon workers are in Quebec before the Quebec Labor Tribunal. It's a dispute over the warehouse closures, and it's being addressed by the Labor Tribunal. This was after the workers voted to join a union, and the company soon after shut down their warehouses. Now, Ontario is investing in Wasaga Beach, and that is a revitalization project. And the province is allocating funds to help boost tourism in the popular beach town. Hudson's Bay, in the meantime, is being sold off, at least some of the brands and the intellectual property, in a $30 million deal to Canadian Tire. The iconic retailer will sell its name and brands to Canadian Tire, and we will see that name live on for the time being. A struggling Canadian father, as I said, wins the $80 million lottery jackpot. He bought the ticket while getting buns for dinner, and he came out a major winner. In world news, the U.S. Supreme Court has blocked the Trump administration from deportations under the Alien Enemies Act. The court has upheld a block on the deportation of Venezuelan men detained in Texas under wartime law. Moody's, for the first time, has downgraded the U.S. credit rating, and it is lowering its assessment of the U.S. due to debt, rising government interest payments, and other issues that have been impacted by the instability that the Trump administration has brought forward. A manhunt continues for an escaped inmate, actually several escaped inmates in New Orleans. Authorities are still searching for 9 inmates who escaped from a jail. One has been apprehended. So again, if you are in that area and see anything suspicious, make sure to reach out to your local law enforcement. Casey Ventura's cross-examination ends in Sean Diddy Combs' trial. The former girlfriend of Sean Combs concluded her testimony, with the defense challenging her credibility. Meanwhile, the Trump budget package blocked in committee by conservatives. Some Republicans joined the Democrats to prevent the legislation from advancing, demanding deeper budget cuts. Meanwhile, Russia and Ukraine have agreed to a prisoner swap in their peace talks. However, while the peace talks did not yield a ceasefire, the countries did agree to exchange prisoners. An attacker who stabbed Salman Rushdie was sentenced to 25 years in prison. The man who attacked the author during a lecture in New York has received the maximum sentence. Mexico is accusing Mr. Beast, the YouTuber, and one of the top YouTubers out there. They are accusing him of exploiting the Mayan pyramids, and that was in relation to a filming permit in which authorities claim he did not have permission to film at the heritage site for profit. This is, of course, a bigger concern when you look at the media world as it is right now, especially encompassing social media. There are a very clear distinction in laws, regulations, and other procedures in terms of editorial content versus creative content or for-profit content. So there are differences there. And that, of course, has a direct correlation as to what you can film under what permits, as well as how you can utilize the content that has been filmed. This is a concern when you look at many different areas of the internet. And another area of concern, of course, is people who are flying drones within the wildfire zones, within earthquake zones and other emergency areas, and yet they are not registered, they are not licensed, and they, of course, are not supposed to be doing that within the laws as they sit. However, a lot of people try to get around these regulations and rules, stating that because their drone is under a certain weight, under certain sizes and so forth, that they're allowed to do so without being considered a commercial drone. Here in Canada, that is not the case. It is the size, the weight, and licensing. All of these things play into fact However, once you start to utilize that content, regardless as the size or capacity of the drone or the weight, it doesn't matter if you are using it to create a profit or gain from that content. So of course, whether you are pumping up your viewers and your clicks on social media, that has a direct benefit to you and makes that commercial use. So again, you are looking at a much substantially higher fine range than you would as a private drone operator. But again, respecting the laws that are in place, and they are there for a reason when it comes to natural disasters and other emergency areas where there is an automatic no-fly zone encompassing certain regions. So again, you are asked to use some common sense and respect. But again, this will move forward. We'll see what happens to Mr. Beast in terms of the accusations of him exploiting that filming permit and going ahead to film at the heritage site without the proper permissions. Now, the former Chad Prime Minister arrested over alleged links to a deadly crash. The leader of the Transformers Party, which, yes, that is a thing, has been detained, allegedly outside of legal procedure. So we'll watch and see how that plays out and what exactly the details were in the coming days. We'll find out more about the arrest and the alleged links to the deadly crash that led to his arrest and detainment. Now, Russia has jailed Australian men for fighting alongside Ukraine. A 33-year-old Australian has been sentenced to 13 years by a Russian-controlled court. Melania Trump statue has gone missing in Slovenia. It is a big bronze statue of the former First Lady and current First Lady, and that has been reportedly sawed off at the ankles and stolen. All right, imagine that. A huge fire has engulfed a historic plantation house in Louisiana, and that is the significant fire, and it's damaging much of the Nottoway House, built in 1859. Wildlife has been dyed blue in Sao Paulo, and that is a result of a chemical spill. Authorities are working to rescue the animals affected by that event. The UK surgeon shares footage from Gaza hospital after a deadly Israeli strike. And that's video from a hospital following a strike that killed many. And he has released that publicly. An ex-FBI boss interviewed by the Secret Service over a Trump seashell post. Yes, James Comey is under scrutiny for a social media post interpreted by some as a threat to the former president and current president. Now, essentially, what they had done is put out the numbers 8647. So 86 is a term mostly used in restaurants and such to get rid of the old, get rid of something that's no good. To remove it, and not to kill it, but just remove it. So again, 47 being Trump's number as the 47th president. So again, 8647, basically saying remove the president, and that would be considered a call for impeachment. However, the Secret Service did go and visit him, as well as several others, over the posting of this number. It is just another example as to how the Trump administration is misusing their powers to try and quell dissent and any non-popular statements or claims by Trump's opponents. Now, beauty influencer on TikTok was in Mexico, and that was Valeria Marquez. It's being investigated as a femicide as she was killed via gunshots. And that apparently happened during a TikTok live stream in Mexico. 2 climbers have died on Mount Everest, an Indian and a Filipino climber, and they were attempting to summit the world's highest peak. A UK court has ordered singer Chris Brown to be held in custody. Yes, the Grammy-winning artist was charged with causing grievous bodily harm related to a 2023 nightclub fight. So there we go. That is the headlines that are happening around the Lower Mainland, around British Columbia, Canada, and the world. Right now, we are going to be looking further into the abrupt closure of the ambulance station in West Vancouver. We'll bring you more reports on that in the coming days as more information becomes available. We'll also keep an eye on the story of Mr. Beast. We'll also reach out to Mr. Beast for a statement to see what that response is. But again, I don't know if we'll actually get anything back from him or from the government of Mexico, but we will definitely try anyway. With that said, we will also keep you updated on the missing children in Nova Scotia. Once again, there is a lot of speculation happening on the internet when it comes to these missing children. There is everything. I've looked at so many videos of different professionals as well as amateurs that want to be detectives or want to be, the internet sleuths. And some of them are just bringing more damage into the investigation than they are helping. So again, it's about not hindering the investigation. And it has gone as far as even having some of the posts are of tarot card readers and fortune tellers. Again, excuse me. All of these reports are coming in, and some people are holding them out to be the gospel truth as opposed to just speculatory or, being what they are. So again, be careful about what you're spreading, and please don't spread misinformation or out and out lies. Also, be aware of the facts that you're spreading. Make sure that they are from legitimate and trusted sources. And just remember that not all internet sources are trustworthy and reliable. So again, go to the RCMP, go to, reputable news sites. Don't just copy from anybody that you see online. Once again, I am just going to take a moment here and do this. So again, if you have any comments, by all means, feel free to put them up in the comment section. If there's anything that you would like to discuss or talk about, by all means, you're welcome to put that in the comment section as well, as this program is open for everybody to take part in. At this time, of course, we touched on the real estate market, and that's entering a transition period, as it's so called, by the Real Estate Industry Association. And to me, I think that it is more a lot of uncertainty about the current economy, about tariffs, trade, so much more that's impacting not just a transition period as they are trying to minimize what we see as a major problem within the industry and the housing crisis within Canada. Of course, we also see housing issues in the U.S. So again, it's all about whether or not, the markets are going to cool or they're going to warm up, and we'll have to watch and see. My personal prediction is that the markets are going to remain cool for the next 3 to 6 months, and that is not a good thing for many in the industry as well as for those trying to enter into the housing market. There may be a slight bump in terms of reduction of prices, but again, it is also about interest rates. It's about longevity and the stability in interest rates and the markets. So again, a lot of questions that are up in the air right now, and people are left wondering and challenged by that. Just responding to a couple of comments here, folks. Again, feel free to add any comments that you want, and I'd be happy to respond to your comments. Welcome, G Singh, Origami J, Dead and D, welcome. Kirk Irving, welcome, and Dan, welcome to all of you. Thanks for joining. Now, let's take a look at another concerning factor or issue that's facing the Canadian economy this summer. There's a notable surge in Canadians choosing to explore their own country, and that is, of course, with the tourism market. A lot of people are boycotting travel to the United States. It appears that there is an impact of billions of dollars that's being lost by the U.S. markets. RS, welcome to the program. And that, of course, is good news in some ways for Canadian tourism locations, destinations, and attractions, because 2025 appears to be cautiously optimistic with interesting dynamics at play. So let's take a look at some of the factors and trends that are going to impact the Canadian economy and our tourism market this year. Now, of course, as I stated, there is a notable surge in Canadians choosing to explore our own country as opposed to going to the US, and this is driven by factors outside of just the interest, but it's also a big part of national pride. And the weaker Canadian dollar, making domestic travel more appealing, and international travel, especially to the United States, relatively more expensive. It's also quite notable that a lot of people are refusing to travel to the U.S. Given this dissatisfaction with the political climate in the U.S. and the increased what's considered as harassment by the Border Patrol in the U.S. as Canadians and Americans alike head north. So again, people are quite concerned about all of these factors when it comes to that, which again may boost the domestic tourism industry to help compensate for the loss of other international tourists. Excuse me. Now, the Okanagan-Thompson Tourism Association in British Columbia reports strong spring and summer travel momentum, with bookings trending upwards compared to 2024. Excuse me, and that's indicating that Canadians are indeed planning to travel within Canada. Airline bookings within Canada to British Columbia are also reported to be up significantly. Now, when it comes to the value proposition for U.S. travelers, the weak Canadian dollar makes Canada an attractive and more affordable destination for American tourists. And despite any political tensions, cross-border travel is still considered important for cultural exchange. Bookings from the U.S. to British Columbia, for example, are also reportedly up. A lot of people are still traveling into Canada. It's people traveling to the U.S. that have been majorly impacted by the Trump administration's policies and the things going on there. Now, there is a shift towards longer and more meaningful trips, and that shows that Canadians have a preference for longer vacations, potentially as a way to rejuvenate. And this is still people recovering from the pandemic as they get to travel and enjoy the country. And of course, during the pandemic, a lot of people were hit financially. So it took a few years for them to recover from that financially. And now that they have the ability to travel, they are taking advantage of it with longer vacation periods. When it comes to sustainable and local experiences, that is also increasing as travelers are mindful of their environmental impact and seeking ecotourism options and destinations that prioritize conservation. There's also a strong preference among Canadian tourists to support local, independent, and family-owned businesses. In terms of wellness tourism, yes, that is a thing. Destinations offering relaxation and mental well-being, such as nature-focused holidays and spa retreats, are gaining popularity. And coming up this summer, I will have several dates available for those interested in traveling to Metro Vancouver for a photography program. I will spend 2 days with each group and go out taking you to see some of the amazing sights and attractions in Metro Vancouver and the Howe Sound, where you'll also get to learn tips and tricks for photography, and that is for all levels of photographers. I encourage you, reach out if you're interested in the program, and I'll keep you updated on availability as to those days. Again, it'll be 2 day, basically, It'll be 2-day workshops, and that will include all of the attractions that we'll attend, nature, wildlife, all of those viewings and photography sessions where you will gain some experience. Even if you are a beginner with a cell phone, you'll still be able to take part in the program and learn. So it's a fun and exciting opportunity, something a little different. So reach out. Excuse me. Unique experiences. There's actually a growing interest in unique experiences like viewing the Northern Lights or other celestial events. And of course, the whale and ocean tours, all of those different things. So again, there's a lot to be seen, a lot to experience here in Canada. Excuse me. Now, of course, as I said, the devalued dollar is expected to attract more foreign visitors and bring their spending, but we also know how volatile the markets can be at this time. Now, there are, of course, the economic uncertainties that accompany that, and overall, the economic landscape in 2025 is described as uncertain with a weaker dollar. That can boost tourism, but the spending of those domestic travel dollars in Canada by Canadians on domestic travel will also depend on consumer confidence and income levels, which could be affected by broader economic conditions, including inflation and, of course, the cost of living. The rising travel costs and the weaker Canadian dollar are also impacting travel plans, particularly for younger Canadians, leading some to take fewer and shorter trips or opt for less expensive accommodations. And again, by traveling within Canada instead of international destinations, that can be a big option. The elevated transportation expenses, again, remain a concern for travelers. We did see price of fuel for domestic trips. Of course, we saw the fuel prices dip with the reduction or elimination of the carbon tax, but with the troubles due to some refineries, again, the prices have started to creep back up again. Now, shifting the consumer preferences and evolving travel patterns, of course, the industry needs to adapt to changing traveler behaviors and preferences. And that may be a big advantage to the smaller or local operations, as they have less hoops and hurdles to jump through when it comes to the corporate structure to make changes, implement updates, and to shift with the market. When it comes to global events and political tensions, of course, that can also play a role in travel decisions. And again, when you look at the instability around the world, the geopolitical situation, that again invites people to stay closer to home in terms of their travel and vacation dollars. Some travelers have also experienced anti-tourist sentiment in certain destinations. Again, that influences decisions on travel, destination vacations, and of course, the opportunities for Canadians to stay and explore their own country. Given the vast amounts of land and landscapes that are offered throughout the country, there is so much to see and do, from the shores of the Maritimes to the wild bison in the north, right through to, of course, whale watching on the west coast and everything in between. So from coast to coast to coast, so many opportunities to explore Canada this summer. A significant portion of travelers are adjusting their plans due to concerns as well about climate change, and that's potentially choosing destinations with less extreme weather or traveling during different times of the year. Of course, we know that wildfires here in Western Canada, or all across Canada, have become an interruption to the travel markets during certain times of the year, given the last few years and the extreme level of fires that we've been seeing. That, of course, could play into the reduced numbers into the Okanagan of British Columbia or other regions. So again, it's about planning effectively and being able to adapt, because if there are closures due to wildfires or natural disasters, of course, you want to have the flexibility to move your plans and still be able to explore the country. So again, just have some flexibility and plan an alternate, so this way you're not left stressing at the last minute should something change that's out of your hands. The industry does need to be mindful of economic headwinds that could impact domestic spending and adapt to evolving traveler preferences for sustainability, local and meaningful experiences, and of course, unique experiences that are different and give people something new and exciting. So once again, that's just kind of an update on the local Canadian tourism industry as we move towards summer of 2025. If you have come up with some great ideas for your vacation time this summer, by all means, share it in the comment section or send us an email at smile@propicscanada.com. That's PROPICS Canada.com. Or again, just leave it in the comment section. We'll be keeping an eye on that to see what you are doing or some of your favorite destinations. And by all means, don't be afraid to share some photos or videos. We love to see that. And thank you again for tuning into this episode of Live Chat with James. Stay safe out there. And remember, you can support this channel by subscribing, liking, following, whatever you want to call it on the different platforms. But you can also share with friends and family and invite them to become subscribers as well. And yeah, if you are interested in on Substack or on various other platforms like Blue Sky and such, you can always find us there as well. Once again, you've been watching Live Chat with James here on ProPix TV in Vancouver, British Columbia. Take care and stay safe.